Welcome to Pickleball Therapy, the podcast for your pickleball mind. And this is a very special episode. We are fortunate enough to have Swupnil Sahai, who is the co-founder and CEO of Swingvision. And Swingvision is some of the latest technology that can help us to become better pickleball players. Swupnil, it's so wonderful to have you on Pickleball Therapy.
Yeah, thank you for having me, CJ. I'm super excited to be here.
Now, tell us a little bit about your background, because you actually you're a crossover from tennis, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I played tennis since I was probably like 7 years old. So it's been my main sport my whole life. I grew up playing with my dad and my brother. I've watched a lot of tennis, but just racket sports in general, I think has been a big part of my life. We always had a ping pong table at home that we'd play, and then more recently, obviously, last few years, been playing a lot of pickleball. So just kind of all racket sports is really what I'm about.
Nice. Now, tell us a little bit about Swing Vision. You started on the tennis side, but you have developed a fantastic program for pickleball players. Tell us a little bit about Swing Vision and how you've tailored it specifically to pickleball.
Yeah, so Swingvision is an app for your phone that you can use to record your game. And we initially started it in tennis. The problem I was trying to solve was that I wanted to have the same stats about my game like the pros. So I wanted to know like how fast is my serve? How accurate is my forehand? Am I making more mistakes on my backhand? And so that was really like the initial reason why we made Swingvision. And it's pretty simple to set up. It's like you just put your phone up behind you on the court, behind the baseline, and then hit record, and then we have our own AI that will process the video in real time. And it's tracking the ball trajectory. It's going to track all of your stats so we know how fast you're hitting, where is the ball landing, is it in, is it out. And then what's also cool is in addition to these really cool stats that you get to see, we also will generate highlights of your game. So you could find like all the best rallies, the really fun points, or maybe you just want to look at like your form and look at your specific mistakes that you made. So that's kind of what Swing Vision's about. It's giving you these like automated stats and highlights using just your phone, and then also line calls more recently, which is really exciting. And so we've had this in tennis for about 5 years. We launched at the end of 2019, just before the pandemic hit. But obviously we saw pickleball grow so quickly during the pandemic period, and so many people were playing it. And we had already built this really fantastic product for tennis, and it felt like, given our team's background, we would be able to provide a really good experience in pickleball as well. And so we launched pickleball about a year ago, actually. And we brought the same exact experience where you can get these stats and highlights about your game, but obviously more of the pickleball context. And it's a really fun way to, I would say, kind of like relive your memories on the court, but also just improve your game as well and share it with other people. So it's kind of has something for everybody, I would say, but that's sort of like what it's all about.
It definitely has something for everyone. I've been using Swing Vision since earlier this year, earlier in 2024, because it's very likely our listeners won't be listening to this till 2025. So I've been using it, and Tony's been using it, and it has been a lot of fun, and it's also been pretty eye opening. So let's talk about some of those specific things that Swing Vision does to assist players in analyzing and improving their pickleball game.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just seeing the video of yourself play is so eye-opening, like, nothing will beat that. And I think that's the thing that people are always so taken back by when they first use the app. They'll record it, they see themselves play for the first time. You can see how you're hitting those shots, your serve, like, it's maybe not as fast as you think it is, and it's just interesting to see that. And you can also just really understand your technique, your footwork, the positioning of like, "Oh, I could have done this better." And it's all so quick, and within a few seconds you can understand what's going wrong. And it's really cool because you can filter by specific things, so you could say like, show me every dink that I like hit into the net, and then you can like look at just those shots, slow it down in slow motion, and see what went wrong. And so it's really interesting. It makes it so efficient. You don't have to sift through this like really long video. And I think that's how people are able to improve so quickly. But then aside from that, the data is also there. If you're a more advanced player, you can actually look through the data and look at like what percentage of shots you were missing, what kinds of shots do you need to improve, how are you losing points. So I think that's where, if you want to get really detailed, you can do that too. But honestly, for most people, like the video is just going to tell you like 90% of the story already. And that's how most people are using Swing Vision to improve.
Well, and I know that's one of the things we encourage our, academy as well as our, pickleball system students to put themselves on video so that they can really see what's happening and what's going on in their game. But one of the other intriguing things about Swing Vision is the stats that it breaks down. You know, your longest rallies, your shortest rallies, the times you've got past 5. I know in the system we talk about getting past 4, but you're awfully close with get past 5. Why don't you tell us, and I know you've added some new metrics recently to Swing Vision. Why don't you tell us about some of those pickleball specific metrics that players can dig into if they're using the app?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the beginning, we kind of started with Swing Vision focusing on sort of some core shots, like your serves, and in tennis, it was more like forehands and backhands are like the main kind of categories of shots you care about. Maybe volleys if you're an advanced player. And so, yeah, when we came to pickleball, we got a lot of feedback right away that they want to see specific stats about dinks and drops and third shots. Or like those are so important, and being able to look at just my third shots. So we've added a lot of those stats actually pretty recently in the last couple months. And so you can see a breakdown of like the placement of your third shots and the speed of them. And what percent of your third shots are actually getting like volleyed by your opponent, which is a very interesting stat to look at. How often are you hitting drops on that third shot? And then it makes it easy to also look at highlights. So you can say like, show me every dink that I hit or attempted. Show me every drop that I hit, show me every third shot. So a lot of those things we're just trying to make it really easy for pickleball customers to be able to look at the shots they care about. And that's something that we're always evolving to. So, I mean, as we get more feedback, we can add additional shot types, and, additional stats that people really care about. There's always a fine balance because there's almost no end to what Swing Vision can track. So that's sometimes a challenge, but we really like rely on customers to tell us like, what do you care about the most? We're going to show you just what everybody really wants to see.
And that is one of the things that I have been impressed with using this. Like I said, I think we first started using it back at the US Open. We started using it in March. Are the changes that you have made in the app and how responsive you've been to continue? It was a great product then, but it just keeps getting better and better and better. Yeah. And one of those features is the line calling, because we know this can be a source of contention on the pickleball courts. You've had line calling for a while, but there's a new piece to this. So why don't you tell everybody what the line calling is, and then this new piece?
Yeah, so from day one with the pickleball version of Swing Vision, you've had this ability to challenge line calls. So let's say there's a close call and you're not sure or you don't agree with your opponent's call. You can actually pull up on your Apple Watch a challenge button, just hit that, and then it will show you a slow motion replay of the ball where it bounced, and it'll tell you whether it was in or out. So that's a really popular feature both on the tennis and pickleball side. And if you've watched like professional tennis, they've had this for years. They've had this really cool challenge system where they go up to the umpire and they say challenge. And so we brought that to kind of amateur athletes for the first time, which has been so fun to be able to use that on the court. But just past month in December, we released a brand new feature which takes it to the next level. And instead of even having to challenge, the phone will just say out as soon as the ball bounces. And so you'll hit it, your heel like a little beep, and then it will say out, and you know that the ball is out. So this is a beta feature. It's not 100% accurate, but we built it because we had a lot of customers ask for that, and they know that the accuracy is good enough that it would make for a really fun experience to be able to just try this out because it feels so futuristic. But yeah, it's been received pretty well so far, and obviously the accuracy is always like improving, and as we get more footage and data from customers, it gets better and better every month. But if you want to try it out, it is there. It's kind of exclusive to our like highest subscription tier at the moment, but we do hope to bring it to everyone eventually. But it's a really, really fun feature. And yeah, it completely changes the game. It makes you feel like you're a professional when you're playing because like the system's just calling it out for you. It's like you have a ref on the court.
Well, I will tell you right now, it is funny, to have it on the watch with the folks that I play with. Every once in a while, you'll get that, and we're pretty friendly with, "Did you see it? Did you see it?" And everybody's kinda trying to get the call right, and then they're like, "The swing vision, what does the swing vision say, CJ?" Right? So it definitely has become a very popular feature with the group that I play with, so I can't wait to try out the, voice call so that we know what's going on. Yeah, that'll be super fun. Um, Now, you talked a little bit let's talk a little bit about the equipment that you need for Swing Vision. And I know, like, one of the things that I wanna make sure you mention is the, swing stick because, I'm a YouTube creator, so I'm kinda all in on all the different things we have to do to get shots and use video, and it can get complex. But man, the swing stick? I gotta tell you, it's killer. It makes it so easy. So talk a little bit about the equipment you need to use the app.
Yeah, so you don't need a lot of things. Mainly, it's just an iPhone. So we're only on iOS right now. We're hoping to go to Android at some point in 2025. But on the iPhone side, you basically just need an iPhone 11 or newer. So we support a pretty wide range of devices there. And then all you have to do is attach your phone to a swing stick. So I actually have one here. So for your viewers, I guess who are able to watch this on video, this is what it looks like. And so it's kind of like a tripod or selfie stick. You could think of it like that, but it has a little hook on the back here, and then this hooks onto the fence behind you. So if you're playing on a court that has a fence behind, you can just stick this down. If you can't reach the top of the fence for whatever reason, there's even a little knob right here, and that can just rest on like the diamond of the chain link. So if you have that, that's like another way to do it. And then you basically just put this up, and then it gives you a nice simple angle of the court. And it's just a lot easier to set up than like a tripod because a tripod has like three legs, and you have to fiddle with it a bit. But you can use a tripod as well. Like, let's say you're playing on a court, maybe indoors and a bubble or something, and you don't have a place to put the stick. You can also use a tripod. But we kind of recommend the stick for the best results. And we actually have a patent on the design for the stick. So it's really cool, really unique design. And it just like slides into the fence there. And as more courts get built with dedicated, infrastructure, everything, it should become even better. And then I guess that's one other thing I should mention is like the app's definitely been optimized for being more accurate on dedicated standalone pickleball courts. But I know we always get people saying they're playing, on courts that have like pickleball lines on top of tennis courts. We've been recently hearing a lot of people playing pickleball on top of like basketball courts. So, those are very challenging for the AI and for the app because the lines are harder to see. But over time, they will get better on those courts as we get more data. It's just going to take a little bit longer. But if you want the best experience like today, I'd say play on a dedicated court. But if you don't have the access to that for whatever reason, then the app will be able to get more accustomed to those different kinds of courts over time. But yeah, I think as more investments being made in the sport, we're seeing a lot of more facilities being made. So I think that will hopefully be solved long term, and hopefully everybody can play on a dedicated court, in long term. But it's nice that it's so accessible.
And one of the things too that I wanna talk about the swing stick is there is a sunshade, so you do not have to worry about your camera getting hot in the sun. It's very unique how you put the shade on, and it's once you go through the directions and I have to give you hats off to your team. The directions for setup are excellent. So, you don't have to be a techie to do this. You if you're not naturally dealing with tripods or phones, you probably wanna go through and watch the directions, but the team at Swing Vision has put together some great documentation to help players understand how to get it set up and how to set it up properly so that the AI can do its job. So, hats off on that one.
No, yeah, I appreciate that. We definitely put together a lot of content as well on the video side. So, if reading's not your thing, you can always watch a video too. So we have some YouTube videos on it. But the sunshade's great. We always get questions about that, especially people playing in like the southern half of the US where it can get really hot in the summer. So these phones are really robust, and then with the sunshade, they can last all day. So you can do like play as much pickleball as you want. It'll be fine.
Well, and I'll tell you, my first time recording, I told you we got this. You sent this to us. We are down at the U.S. Open, and Tony was playing senior pro matches. And this was the end of March, and it was down in Naples, and it's 80 degrees with humidity. And I recorded all of Tony's matches without an issue, right, in the hot Florida sun. So, same thing up here in Tahoe. It's been fantastic with that. But there is one thing for those of us now, I happen to have an Apple Watch, and I will tell you this, it is super convenient how the watch ties in to the app. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely recommend using the app with an Apple Watch. It just makes it so much easier and more fun, honestly. But the first thing you'll notice right away is when you're trying to set up the camera, you can check the camera from your watch, which is just so convenient. And so you can take a peek, make sure everything looks good. You're able to see the whole court. You get that green check mark. You're like good to go. So that's already so convenient for being able to set up the camera. But then while you're playing, there's so many benefits to having the watch. So firstly, if there's like a really good rally that happens, you can just bookmark it right away. So we have this concept of like favoriting the last point or the last rally. And so that makes it really easy because you can just add it to your bookmarks. And then later on, after the recording, you already have like a separate highlight reel of just those bookmarks. So it makes it super easy to relive those like really fun points. And then a big thing that we've added is the ability to keep score. So especially for like new players, right? The scoring is a little tricky sometimes. And so you can actually update scores. It'll even show you like which side you're supposed to be serving from. Is it like the first serve or the second serve? You can see all that. You can know what the score is. Is it 1-2-2 or 1-2-1? Like what is it? So you can see all that right away. And so you won't have any arguments on the score either anymore if you use the Apple Watch app. So it's so fun to use it for that. It kind of even teaches you a bit more about like how the scoring works. And so I think those are just some of the great benefits. And then obviously the line challenging that we've already been talking about, but being able to do that from the watch is just so killer and it's so easy, so fast. So yeah, definitely recommend using the Apple Watch for the best experience. If you don't have an Apple Watch, we actually do have this ability to pair another phone as like the remote control. So you can just like pull up a QR code and scan with another device. It can actually even be an Android device. And just like right from the browser, you'll be able to check the camera and do the same kinds of things. But I think with the watch, it's just like so easy and it's just right on your wrist.
I just learned something I didn't know. I mean, which sometimes we were talking about this before we started. I said sometimes with my watch, because I play with my contacts on, sometimes it's a little hard to see my watch just because the screen is so small. Now, I will say this, it's super convenient with the lines. All I'm looking for to set it up are the lines and getting the green check mark, so that I can generally do. But sometimes some of the other features might be difficult to see. So I think I'm gonna have to try it out, using somebody else's phone as a remote, because at least you have a little bit bigger screen.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Now, one of the things you brought up is you brought up the fun points and some of the stuff that happens during matches, not just our stats, but like reliving some of those super fun points. Can you share matches with other players who maybe aren't Swing Vision users?
Yeah, you can, and we've just built so much into making that as easy as possible. But it's really cool. Like you can create as customized of a highlight reel as you want, like these 5 specific points or something like that, and you can generate like a unique link for that highlight reel, share it with somebody else, and they'll be able to just watch it in the browser. They don't even need to have the app installed. So it's literally like Google Docs. It's so easy. And you could take those like favorited rallies, share that with somebody. If you want to look at just your third shots, you can share that with your coach, like whatever you want to do. It's so easy to share it and they don't even need to have the app. They can just watch it for free on the website. And it's a great way to give like your friends and family or your coach like an introduction into the app and also just share content from the app. So I think that's been a really, really neat functionality that we built. But then separate to that, if you're really into posting on like social media, there's a really cool feature there. So typically when you're recording with SwingVision, you're recording in landscape, right? So you have that kind of like widescreen view of the court, which is what you want to be able to capture everything. But these days, when you're sharing content on like Instagram or on your stories, it's always that vertical content. And so what SwingVision does is it allows you to export your highlights in a vertical format where it will sort of follow the ball for you. And so even though you've captured your video in this like widescreen, it'll create this like vertical video and it's perfect. You can post it on social media and it'll look like you have a cameraman like following the ball. It's really cool. And it's all just like automatically generated. You don't have to do anything. And so I use this personally a lot. I'll post like really fun rallies on my stories all the time. And if you look at our Swing Vision app page on Instagram, it's like all of the posts are basically just players around the world sharing their rallies. So it's really cool to see that.
And I have to tell you, as somebody who does video and edits video, that is such a time saver because it is not an easy thing to take a landscape and turn it into a horizontal to be able or I'm sorry, a vertical. It's a vertical to be able to post on social media. So that's one of the super fun features. And my friends are always like, you are gonna send that to me, right, CJ? That's kinda like the thing that they want before they leave the court because, they're gonna analyze their own play.
Yeah.
So we talked about everything that Swing Vision does right now, but I know that you are not stopping. As I mentioned earlier, we are recording this at the end of 2024. It's just before the holidays, but I think you've got some tricks up your sleeve for new features in Swingvision for 2025. Is there anything that you can tell us?
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely can share a bit about what we have coming up, on the Pickleball side and just the app in general. But yeah, the Pickleball specifically, we've had a lot of customers reach out asking for support for ball machine and just drilling in general. So, having those dedicated session types. So that's definitely something we'll be doing next year. And ball machine is something we've offered for tennis for a while. So it's it's a slightly different mode. You're not playing against another human, so requires a certain amount of data before that tracking gets good. But we are planning to release that next year, so that'll be really exciting. And then another feature that we're going to bring over from tennis is this concept of automatically scoring your match. And so currently in tennis, what's kind of cool is you can record your match, you can put the final score of the game, and then it'll automatically kind of fill in every single point who won that point, and then it'll put a scoreboard onto your video automatically. So we're going to bring that to pickleball, and I think that's going to be so neat because it just elevates like the quality of your video because now you'll see like a little scoreboard in the corner. It just makes it feel, more professional. But then also it's nice because you could add additional filters to your video and say like, show me the points that I won or the points I lost. And so there's just additional context that you can add, or like show me just the points on my serve or whatever it is. So I think like that's really convenient to be able to just, be able to take more advantage of your video and get more out of it. Um, but then aside from that, we've been just pushing really hard on line calling, and we have a lot of exciting stuff that we're working on to bring that to like competition play, both at the amateur and maybe even at the professional level. So we're talking with various different organizations about that, and there's a lot of excitement there. Obviously, there's a need to solve the line calling problem in pickleball. So I think we're that was us up really well to do that, given our experience in tennis, and really excited to bring that to more people. And just every competition you play, and you'll get to feel like you're professional, and you have this like line calling system in place. And it'll be different. Instead of a watch, there'll be an iPad that you can walk up to challenge, and both players can see the results. So yeah, so there's a lot of stuff in the works there to just improve that part of the experience too. But yeah, we're always working on new things, and always listening to feedback. So if there's anything that we're missing that you think we don't have, just write into our support team, leave us feedback. We're always looking to improve the experience.
And as I can attest, and I mentioned this a little earlier in the podcast, there were so many changes from the time that I first got it to recording now. It you've just kept improving and improving and improving and listening to the feedback, and it really, regardless if you're just getting it for line calling or if you're getting it because you want to see yourself on video or the stats, it is, hey, I'm really working on this and I want to find out what my problems are because I can tell you as the coach, most players are blind to their own problems. That includes the coach. I'm blind to my own problems. That's why I want to see myself on video and what I'm actually doing.
Yeah, that's it.
Uh, so, Swupnil, you have been very generous with us. If anyone is interested in the Swing Vision technology, I think we have a special link and a special code where, with a subscription, they get one of the swing sticks for free. Is that
That's right. Yeah, it's a great offer. Normally the swing stick's $100 on its own, but if you get it with our subscription's $15 a month, billed annually, and so it's a really great price point. And if you purchase that through this special link, then you'll get the stick for free, and that's the best way to set up. So and you'll just be set up for success that way.
so? If you are listening to this, whether as a podcast or on the YouTube channel, you can check it out in the show notes. But the easiest way to do it is go to our website, betterpickleball.com/resources. You will see the latest link, the latest code so that you get the best deal on Swing Vision. Swupnil, it has been wonderful to have you here with us and to explain all about Swing Vision.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much for having me. Super fun.